goodness, and Tim Onlu goes over a tenth of a second fast.
Well, you join us here at Imola, the Autodromo de Enzo Edino Ferrari for round 2 of the Formula Trout Premier Series, and it's time for the Master Split. And boy, oh boy, we've just seen a fantastic Challenger Split race, and with a little under 11 minutes left of this second qualifying session, it is all to play for the best of the best in Assetto Corsa Sim Racing. My name is Ross McIntyre. Alongside me is a rather depressed league owner slash part-time racer, Kilgore Trout. Kilgore, although the Challenger Split race didn't quite go your way, are you looking forward to this one at least? Yeah, that is an odd one. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut across you there, but yeah, usually it's the C4, the ones you want to be qualifying on. But a few drivers out there on the C5s at the moment. Nico up the top there, a couple of others joining him further down in the pack as well. But it's still early on into this qualifying. Could be just trying to gauge, yeah, maybe the track, the car, what's going on. Of course, similar, you know, it's very much a high downforce, high speed track. Lots of you know, fast corners, lots of tight corners as well. You know, lots of undulation as well to keep in mind. You're coming over the top of the hill and you've got that huge section when you drop down and come back down into the names of the corners. I can never remember, I don't speak Italian. But it is a fantastic circuit. One of the real staples of motorsport in Europe. You know, a real cathedral to the art of motorsport and in sim racing as well. I think it's definitely a tradition that's carried on over into the virtual world as Steven Stevenson gets a little bit sideways coming through the Villeneuve chicane there. Very, very tricky. You can take that chicane multiple ways. And it's, well, very tricky indeed as he comes to the top of the hill. And this is just the moment I was talking about, plunging down before smacking on the brakes here, maybe? No, it's a lift and a shift before you smack on the brakes for the hard right and then back up. Coming into one of the chicanes, I'll pull a track map up. How does that sound? Yeah, Variante Alta, that's the one. Acqua Minerale, that's the one I was trying to talk about. Let's stay on board with the Octan driver as we head down into the final two corners. Very, very easy to get it wrong through here. Not a lot of runoff on either of them. Very slow 90 degrees, very easy. Especially if you've got a car that tends to understeer. Tends to, you know, just push a little bit at the front, which is not something that these cars do. And I'll touch on these cars in a minute because they're a bit different from last season. It can really not be fun. The second you run wide, the second you touch that AstroTurf, it's curtains and you're into the gravel. Hopefully then not the wall or spewing back out into the track, into the path of other cars. But, well, you never know. As we flick through some of the drivers on board with the man who was on provisional pole a few moments ago, Nico Bossert. He's coming around this final corner now for this Junior GP Italian Grand Prix here, as I mentioned. Round 2 of the Formula Trout Premier Series. Now then, let's talk about this motor that you're seeing, because it's a bit different from the one that we were using in Season 9. Not obviously just through the regulation changes, of course, the trend with kind of modern Formula Sim racing cars is that they basically follow the FIA regulations, and each year the devs of the respective cars will build a car that follows the FIA regulations. So we've now got the F1 2022 regs on board here. It's why they look like this. It's why they rely more on the downforce generated by the floor and the Venturi. So it's why they look a bit different from last year, but they're perhaps more different from last year in one thing. We've betrayed Race Sim Studios. We're no longer RSS exclusive here in Formula Trout. We've gone over to virtual racing cars as Max Hammerlink, the master, dives into the pits. We are now using the VRC, the Virtual Racing Cars Alpha 2022. And there's a multitude of reasons behind that. Part of that was, unfortunately, the delay in RSS's 2022 car, which was unfortunately due to problems regarding the Russian invasion of Ukraine, actually. A couple of their devs live over in Ukraine. Obviously, couldn't quite focus on building their car while there was sort of war crimes going on, but I'll try not to stray too far into that. But there's also apparently just been a whole load of problems with the car itself, and they couldn't get it out in time. And, well, the VRC car got released, and as someone who doesn't really do a lot of sim racing anymore, I hopped in it for about 5 minutes around the Saxon ring, and it is the best car I've ever driven in a sim. It was absolutely brilliant. It's even got porpoising somehow, so we've decided to give it a whirl. Very popular with most of the drivers, it would seem, as we're on board with Simon Benoit coming down into and now out of the bottom of the hill and up to Aqua Minerale. That was Aqua Minerale, sorry, Variante Alta. Very tricky through there. You really got to clatter that inside curb. And then try not to do the outside one. You can take the outside one in real life a little bit, but you also don't want to hit those curbs too hard, or you'll find yourself spinning out into the wall, as Charles Leclerc did, because he's a mug. Yeah, try not to do that. Could be seeing a few accidents there today. I mean, these cars, they are very big, very heavy. These new 2022 regulations that the FIA have brought in for Formula 1, and we're seeing transported over into sim racing. Big, big, heavy cars. I mean, it's the largest we've ever seen Formula 1 cars. In turn, it's the largest we've ever seen Formula cars here at Formula Trout. They're big, they're heavy, and because they rely on that floor downforce so much, I'm not going to say ground effect because it isn't ground effect, but because they rely on the downforce from the floor so much that the second you disturb that, the second you upset the car, you're spinning. So really important to keep it facing in a straight line as we're on board with Vladislav Mochalenko now. A little bit up in his delta as you come through Villeneuve, but it's minimal margins at the moment, about 0.5 of a second. That can be very easily gained or lost. So we come through the hairpin for the first time and then banging up the hill. A huge run. Of course, all these cars, as we head into Piratella, in qualifying mode, hybrids out there on full. These cars, 1,000 horsepower as the baseline from the internal combustion engine, coupled with 160 horsepower from the electronic hybrid motor at full chat. Of course, that's not activated all the time, but in a qualifying setting, you can be certain that basically whenever the throttle's planted, those electric motors are giving all of that extra power and causing the back tyres a lot of pain. But of course, that 719 kilo car weight, that is pretty hefty. So the drivers do have to contend with that. And you can see there, just slightly understeering through the final corner as Mochalenko comes to the line. It's about 1/10.5 up now. And does he improve? Yes, he does. It goes to P4 and demotes Dave Southard and Steven Stevenson down into 5th and 6th. We've got a few minutes left on the clock for qualifying now. Not long to go. And now is the time that all of the drivers will be looking to get in their final runs, get in their final saying, and then after this it is straight into the 5 red lights. No warm-ups here. It's how's your bottle essentially. You can still be coming off the high of a fantastic, or coming off frankly the depression of a terrible qualifying, and then you just got to put all of that behind you in a matter of minutes as Toby Sanford now at CRG Academy for this season, heading into the pit lane. Kilgore used to be one of your drivers, of course, back in the day of last season and the season before that. But pastures new this year for Toby Sanford.
Yeah, had a good. Sorry to cut across. Yeah, he's had a good start. I mean, looking at the time sheets, at least in Imola, he was looking at maybe top 10, top 5. So who knows? Maybe other people are sandbagging and not showing their their final form. But Toby's looking pretty hot in my books tonight, at least in that CRG car.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, Toby, often a driver who comes forward in races as well. One lap pace, perhaps not his speciality. And but when his hardware's working, you can tell that he is you know, really on it, and one of the stars of the midfield here in Formula Trout, loves to come through as Alex Cochran takes a trip into the barrier there. Looks like he won't be sending a final lap on board with Jan Dragoon, the race winner from last year in the CRG car, of course, the kind of whole Younger GP series. The CRG teams obviously all operating under that Max Hammerlink banner. They've all shifted around this year. So Maxi Younger, he's decided to get back into the car after a season away alongside Max Hammerlink, the master. Two of the most successful drivers we've ever seen in Formula Trout there. Well, Maxi is the most successful driver in Formula Trout. Max Hammerlink ain't far behind him either. So the Younger guys from last year, they've kind of been shoved over to CRG. And now it's one of those things where like half the team are seemingly under Maxi's wing. So basically at the moment, if you're in Formula Trout, you either belong to Maxi Younger or you belong to Kilgore Trout. Your lives belong to these two men. Because they have a monopoly on the entire grid essentially, because about 4 or 5 of the teams are all just junior teams for them.
I mean, yes and no. Maxi has cunningly created teams essentially to fit his large roster of drivers that he's accumulated, whereas I have partnered with teams. You know, I've offered like a sort of a coalition between the teams. You know, because we're all working towards one goal. We might as well essentially do it together. But focus on R2 Niminen at the moment, who's 1/10 up as he heads through. Oh God, mineral water alley. I feel his pain. But he's still up.
Yeah, one way to put it. I mean, the car's still running, but that doesn't matter. The lap's over for R2 Niminen, but it doesn't matter because he's 5/10 to the good. And unless someone like Steven Stevenson can do anything about it, it looks like he's going to be on the pole position. Max Hammerlink, his teammate for this round, of course, Max Younger stepping out of the car for R2, cannot do anything. The Younger GP setup coming in clutch, it would seem, but it's not far back to Nico Bossert in third, and Vladislav Mochalenko as well, second to fourth, all covered by less than a tenth of a second. And as Steven Stevenson comes to the line, can he improve? Oh, yes, he does.
Brilliant stuff.
Stevenson for Oxtan breaks into the top 2. As I'm sure Kilgore's very happy about that one.
Yeah,
in his Oxtan team.
I mean, the two guys, R2 Niminen, I apologise if I'm constantly butchering your last name, and I never learnt it. I hats out to you for getting P1. These guys, Vermin have kindly joined Oxygen as well, so you know, kind of part of the same team in a sense. But yeah, let's see how it goes with Stevenson and R2 on the front line.
Have to wait and see, but it is R2 Niminen, the Finn, on pole position with the American Steven Stevenson alongside him.
Sorry to cut across. Obviously, I don't know if you've been briefed, and I went with it as well. But yeah, that's just the first qualifying session. So there's a second.
I thought that was the second one.
Was it?
I thought that was the second one.
There's a lot of drivers on the grid. If that was the case, I think.
Well, we'll find out in about 60 seconds time. Basically, it turns out that myself and league owner Kilgore Trout have no idea how this league is run.
Hey,
there's been a few changes for this year in terms of the kind of the format for the qualifying and things. We'll find out. We'll take it with a pinch of salt. But it could be R2 Niminen on pole. It could be R2 Niminen not on pole as we head into potentially a second qualifying session. Let's find out. But other than that, happy to have you here. Thank you for watching along, and of course, welcome to round 2 of the Formula Trout Premier Series Master Split. If you're watching along and you haven't already, don't be afraid to like, share, subscribe, blah blah blah. You know the drill. It really helps everyone out here at the Formula Trout League, of course. The place to be, the best of the best in Assetto Corsa sim racing. And make sure you keep commenting along. On the live stream chat, you might have some inside information that we're not aware of. Of course, myself and Kilgore, our DMs are always on Discord if you need to have a word with us and tell us either we're wrong or something we're coming along, you know, if this is your first time watching Formula Trout and you're confused or you're enthralled, or you just wanna join in this hellscape that once you're a part of you can never leave, then head on to the Discord in the description. That's where everything is run from. Click on the link. We're a friendly bunch. We don't bite sometimes. And yeah, come find out if you fancy getting involved, finding yourself a team, setting up a team if you really fancy. You know, opportunities come and go. Sim racing driver market is incredibly volatile, so I'm sure you can find your way into the grid somehow or somewhere. And of course, this isn't the only series that we run here at Formula Trout. This is just the premier series. It's the top of the top. Usually we'll run a sprint series occasionally as well. That did used to have a format. It's kind of just turned into whatever we fancy running nowadays. It was originally kind of F3, and then we ran an FE series, and then IndyCar, and then it turned into NASCAR for some reason. So, you know, the Formula Trout Sprint Series, it comes and goes. We run other things other than Formula 1 style machines. So it's good fun. It's good fun. I'd recommend it. Yeah, it's just, you know, you realise how terribly bad you are at sim racing when you get involved, but yeah, it's good fun. Please come join, please.
So these guys are pretty bunched up considering we're heading to another qualifying session. Whoever's behind Cochran is gonna, well, get a lot of downforce. Oh my god, why has it done that? Apologies. We won't be hiding the UI again, that's for sure.
A few technical issues on our half. Please do give us a second as we get ready to hopefully go racing after this second qualifying session.
Look at me, I'm on pole.
Hey?
Ignore that. There we go.
There we go. Should be working now.
It'll sort itself out. A set of courses great like this for the first couple of laps. But yeah, on board with Alex Cochran as he's heading now into possibly the toughest set of corners on the calendar. My partner Charlotte has now just handed me a stir fry. Awesome. I mean, this is a win-win. Alex, you know, providing the entertainment, and the Charlotte with the cooking skills.
So not the first time someone's eaten on stream before in Formula Trout. I'm often guilty, but can't go wrong with the stir fry. Thank you, Charlotte Trout, for the wonderful gift of the. Is it, what kind of stir fry is it? Vegetable, chicken?
It's a vegetable one. I mean,
Can't go wrong.
It's just a tester for Alex as he decides to pull into the pits. But
well, I hope you enjoy your stir fry, Kilgore. I'm just going to ask you if you could potentially restart the stream on Discord because it's broken itself.
Oh right, I apologise. Yeah.
There we go. No, it's all right. You know, technical issues, they happen. Can't avoid them. It wouldn't be all the Trout broadcast go completely imperfectly to plan, or rather, it did. So here we are, qualifying 2 then, the top 10 shootout essentially, and P11. That's the camera car for Kilgore. Ignore that. A set of course you can't just watch along. You have to have a car in the game. So we have a fancy little Mercedes camera car that just sits in the pits, and then you'll see it on the grid at the start before it jumps back into the pits with the infamous Control B. I think it is maneuver. I can't remember. I haven't been a cameraman in a long time. But yeah, Vladislav Mochalenko heading out now, and that's the grass Vladislav. I don't know if you were aware of that. That's still the grass Vladislav. Has to get out of the way of one of the Oxtan drivers, believe. Oh no, doesn't get out of the way, so whoever that is, I believe it's Steven Stevenson. Looking to get a tow, potentially? No, decides to go around the outside. Everyone
should be really coming in right now on this lap. Only Alex is the one who's on an out lap. As you can see, they're all peeling in. I didn't know what to show, because I've already shown Alex do a lap, but fail. So, yeah. Should we go to Alex?
Hey, go on then. Let's jump on let's jump around with the man himself, Alex Cochran, the official challenger, split streamer slash. He does a load of jobs around here, doesn't he?
He's a very useful man.
He's a absolute legend, and in this Griffin Gaming car, of course, Alex joining Griffin Gaming last season, having a pretty successful year, to be fair. You know, Alex, he did a good job I think it is safe to say, after a few seasons over with Nova Finlandia, decided to jump ship over to Griffin Gaming. Finished P9 in the championship with a few really strong results in the mix as well. So yeah, I think he got a podium in at Mugello last year, which was when we were at Mugello. A few 4th places, 6th places, a couple of dub results obviously, but you get that when you're a sim racer and your name isn't like Mustafa Muradi or something who's decided that we're all waste mans and he can't be bothered this season, which is fair enough. When you wipe the floor like that, you get tired. But it is it's the Trout effect, I like to call it, which we have scientifically confirmed is a real thing. Well, myself and Maxi have anyway in our many kind of half-drunken discussions over Discord. Where basically you win a championship on Formula Trout, and then you just bin off the next season essentially because it requires so much work that you can't be bothered. If that makes sense. Maxi, of course, who isn't with us today, is the only back-to-back champion in Formula Trout history. Of course, a 3-time champion, plus a champion of the original series back on F1 2016, which we include in the statistics, but isn't really Formula Trout, let's be honest here. But it is a real kind of statistic. It is a real thing where basically you, as Toby Sanford, managed to squeeze into the top 10 at the end. So it looks like his top 10 pace is on here as he in his CRG Academy car, the new red colours for the Brit. As his former teammate goes past the outside of him on the way to the corner that starts with P. That's like Peta something or other. I should know that. Peratella, that's the one. I should really know that, shouldn't I? But as I was saying, you look at the results of Max Hammerlink in Season 8 for something. On the podium every single race. Won every other race up to, I think it was round 10. It was just an absolutely dominant force that season. Season 9, I think he turned up for like 2 races. Because it just takes so much out of you. I mean, none of these guys are professional sim racers. None of these guys, get paid big bucks into this. You might get a couple of quid sliding your way here and then, to say thank you. I know, Kibble, you like to pay your drivers and whatnot. That's perfectly reasonable, good for you. But I'm sure that they're happy to receive a bit of dosh for their efforts. But this isn't big iRacing type salaries that we're seeing. Assetto Corsa, as much as we love it, it's not the pinnacle of the sim racing world anymore, despite its many strengths. These guys are mainly doing it out of passion, out of fun, out of a commitment to the league. And you look at Max Hammerlink, and the effort that goes in, and even when you absolutely dominate a season, just wipe the floor with everyone, he still had to take essentially a season's break off just to recuperate, recharge his batteries, almost fall back in love with sim racing again. I mean, I don't know how I'd turn up week in, week out if I was, crashing out of every race. But to win every race and then, say, I need to have a holiday. That's kind of what Maxi Young has done as well. Just kind of when I need to step back, he's kind of taken a more team manager role here at the aptly named Younger GP Italian Grand Prix. Is it Italian? Is it San Marino? I think it's the Italian Grand Prix. Are we going to somewhere else? Are we going to Monza? I don't know. I'll pull up the calendar for you in a second. Again, I should know that, but I'm still trying to wake up. Anyways, as we get down into the nitty gritty of the of this session, we are going to Monza. Okay, and we're going to Mugello. What? Oh, I got 3 Italian Grand Prix. We'll call this Italian Grand Prix Part 1. I've got no idea. I don't know. I didn't organise the calendar. Carlos probably did. You saw him back in the Challenger split. He's a good bloke. Yeah, we've got a minute left of this qualifying session. Currently, R2 Neiman is still on the pole. 3/10 up on his best lap in Q1. But Steven Stevenson, Froxtan, right on his tail, only a few hundredths of a second off. Nico Bossert not far off as well in P3. And there is Nico Bossert in P3 for, I believe that's CRG Academy. Again, there's like 20 different CRG teams. And he's on the C5s again, which is a bold move because the C5 tyres generally last about half a lap in Assetto Corsa. You'll excuse me there. Yeah, you don't usually see people whipping them out because they usually run out after about 3 corners due to Assetto Corsa's tyre model. Of course, they are the softest compound aside. That means they have the most immediate grip, the lowest operating temperature, oh no, highest operating temperature rather, and all round just, you know, fast. But Assetto Corsa's tire model means they usually just run out of about 2 corners. So that's why you see drivers preferring that C4 compound. Is looks like Max Hammerlink going to make it to the line, so he's done. Niemann and Stevenson done up the top. Vladislav Mochalenko, can he improve? He's a little bit down, coming through the final corner. Does he get a good exit? No, he doesn't. So Artu Niemann won't be, or Vladislav Mochalenko rather, won't be improving. One of the many talents that we've got here. Dave Southard, what can he do for DAC Racing? And he's a little bit up on his lap time, but not enough to upset Mochalenko's P6 at the moment. But he is also only half around the lap, and he's also just absolutely made a fool of himself coming through Variante Alta. Oh, not really. He only lost about a 10th. But coming down now into the final few corners, can Dave Southard improve? Take out Toby Sanford, take out Vladislav Mochalenko. And I'm afraid to say he's down on his lap, down on his delta, so it's going to be P7 for Dave Southard. And that, it seems, will be it for qualifying for the Formula Trout Premier Series Master Split Round 2 here, the IndyGP Italian Grand Prix Part 1 at the Autodromo de Enzo Edina Ferrari, more commonly known as Imola, as we get ready to go racing. That's right. There's a short session beforehand. Not just jump straight into the race. So we've got a few minutes of downtime, few minutes of chill. GP Formula Trout, the Italian Grand Prix Part 1. Of course, we're heading to Mugello and Imola, or Monza rather, later in the year, because apparently you just love pasta rolls. Mugello's a better bike track, but you know what, I'll stand by that. But yeah, here we are then, round 2 of the Formula Trout Premier Series Master Split. If you're just joining us, hello and welcome. You have missed a very, very close qualifying session indeed. About 100th of a second or so as we get ready to go racing. 100th of a second or so between the top two, R2 Niemanen and Stevenson. Of course, Stevenson, vice champion last year. He may prefer runner-up, but I prefer the term vice champion. He can deal with it. And yeah, he's looking to start a challenge this season. Of course, the master Max Hammerlink on his return to Formula Trout in round 1 decided to win the race because of course he did. It's Max Hammerlink. But he's good job so far by Steven Stevenson this season, continuing his good form from season 9. But of course, when you're up against the master and the master's on form, you can't mess around. Max has been he's been doing some other things. He gave R Factor 2 a little bit of a go a while ago. Was popping around in I want to say it was GPVWC off the top of my head, but it could have been another league. Did alright, decided it wasn't for him. R Factor 2, it's not for everyone. Interesting community, interesting physics. I'll say that much. As we see there, the crowd going absolutely mental. They look like I do after a night out. Just stood there in awe of everything and wondering how many brain cells they have left. And that's a very fancy camera angle indeed. But we're essentially just whittling down the minutes until race. Well, race minute, I suppose. It's already race day because it's a sim race. We do everything in one. A few cars heading out onto the pits there. As you can see, some of the lovely liveries that we have on display. Of course, Formula Trout. We, everyone puts in a great effort. We often see some very pretty looking cars. This season is no exception. Even with these new regulations, which some people don't like, I think they look stunning. And the liveries look rather nice as well. As we're following... I want to say that was Oliver Gibson around there, but you can never be too sure. It was Oliver Gibson that we're following around. This is now not Oliver Gibson.
This is Oliver Gibson now. The other one...
Oliver Gibson? I don't know. I thought Oliver Gibson was still with another team.
It's technically his team.
Maybe I'm mistaken. No, Ollie's with... Oh, I forgot Oliver was with Lion Ears. I am a complete mug. Lion Ears have got a different livery now. Ignore me being an absolute muppet. I haven't... Normally, Lion Ears team boss slash driver slash all-round legend Case Wilhelms sends me the Lion Ears livery in my DMs, but he didn't this year, even though he said he would. And I forgot to go looking for it because I had too much on my plate. So it's looking rather different, a bit of blue. I like it. It's a bit fancy schmancy, and I like the black front end as well. Of course, carrying that Oxygen logo. That is part of Kilgore Trout currently enjoying his stir-fry pod of your... It's a kind of a driver program, kind of a let's all be friends in Formula Trout program that some of your teams and associates carry. Here is your team also carrying it, Oxtan, which used to be Octane and then changed to... What is that? Actually, how comes you never changed from Oxtan? Because it used to be that you changed the livery each season to be a parody of an F1 team, and then you kind of got to Red Bull, changed it to Oxtan, and then we're like, can't be bothered to change it anymore.
It was a parody of Ferrari, but then I realised everyone wants to be Ferrari. Everyone wants to be the red car, and no one wants to be Red Bull. I guess no one's making Red Bull-esque liveries, and I've always kind of had a weird admiration for them because they've been around the shortest and caused the most controversy in a way. And I don't know, I'm not trying to emulate the controversy. Like Toby last season, I genuinely had to make a decision with him and put Tommy Ielitalo in his seat instead. That was not a replication of Alex Albon. It's just coincidence. As the lights are slowly but surely going red. Do you want to count us in?
Why not?
Oh god.
And we are underway here for round 2 of the Formula Trout Premier Series. It looks to be a very, very strong start from Martin Ewan, but the inside line belongs to Stevenson as they plunge into Tamburello. Stevenson takes the lead, a few cars. Oh, a huge accident at the back of the field. Multiple cars round and off.
What do you reckon?
It's all gone wrong, but it's Stevenson into the lead, using the boost off the line to take P1 before turn 1 at Tamburello chicane. But R2 Neiman, and he's not going to take no for an answer. He's going to be trying to fight back, but Stevenson already looking to bolt away at the front of the pack. Following then, as well. But Stevenson, a great start there. That's exactly what he needed.
I don't want to be the one to make the decision right now because, like, there's a big accident at the back. Was it enough to cause a red flag? I don't know. But, you know, Stevenson is up in front. It'd look like, you know, bad on my behalf if I was to not restart the race. So I hate these kind of decisions, and I can see why Michael Massey got sacked making a stupid one.
Well, I think I'd argue it was more incompetence in Michael Massey's favour rather than just making, you know, let's just restart. And I also feel like, no disrespect to Gil, I feel like Formula Shootout doesn't quite hold up to the final lap of the Formula 1 World Championship in a tiebreaker race. But, yeah, let's keep going. You know, your driver's in the lead of the race. Let's have a little bit of corruption and bias and let him lead for a little while longer. But basically, everyone who you're seeing down the back of the pack at the moment was involved in it. I think from Benoit down, Mochalenko, I think he was the one who just ran wide and took a trip through the gravel. And then we had Magzai, Olsen, Willems, Lawis, Cochran as well. Some really strong drivers tangled up in that early incident. Looking further forward, though, it's Stevenson from Neiman and from Nico Bossa in P3. Max Hammerlink, the master, in P4 with Jan Dragoon in P5. Of course, Jan had a pretty good season last year, took a race win. He'll be looking to improve on that, even though he's been shafted about the way over to CRG, which is still technically in the GP. He's basically just in an orange and black car, rather than the green and black that we're seeing right now on board with R2 Niemanen as they come down into the back section, coming downhill again. Very easy to lock up here, especially in the dirty air. But he's able to stay. Oh, huge moment for R2 Niemanen. What a great save. And that is car control at its absolute finest, because these big and heavy 2022 cars, you get it wrong, you slide like that, and there you go round. What a great save as Alex Cochran tries to move up to P7, moves in the background as well. As Cochran, and I want to say, no, it's not Sanford, it's Southern, so he moves up into P7 rather. Is in the background, I believe that was Halligan and Gibson swapping place. Of course, David Halligan taking the race win in round 1 last season. Or he nearly did. No, he nearly did. He came second. I apologise. It was Tarek Batata who took that race win on his Formula Trout return after many years living under a rock, apparently.
You're right.
Gibson, yeah.
You're right to say that he did win a race, though. I think it was the last race of the season, which was a great kind of comeback for Halligan, considering like a season previously he lost out on a podium, his first one, due to track limits.
Yeah, last race of the season. Yeah.
It's very poetic, but onward and upward.
Absolutely, onward and upward is exactly how we need to look at life sometimes. Onward as upward is what Oliver Gibson is looking to do, as in front of him the two DAC drivers battle. And R2 Niemanen, meanwhile, has retaken the lead from Stevenson. He's slid on by, coming down that front stretch, presumably the DRS and the overtake button employed. Of course, an extra 160 horsepower coming from that hybrid at full chat. That is quite a lot, if you're not quite familiar with the technicalities of a Formula race car. And oh my goodness me, Dave Southard, that was brave. Up the inside of Oliver Gibson coming into the Villeneuve chicane. I mean, great driving from Gibson. I think he almost had to dive out of the way a bit. Great driving to not have an accident. But Dave Southard, wow, what a move. That was super, super brave. Up the inside as they come around Piratella. Wow, amazing move from Dave Southern. He can now focus back on fighting with Halligan, his teammate further up. Max Hammerlink, the master, has got past Nico Bossa, and Stevenson looking to make a move back into the lead of the race. Running wide, R2 Niemanen. A bit of a mistake. He may have got away with it. That's the second mistake we've seen through the penultimate corner in 4 laps. And Stevenson now is going to sweep on by and retake the lead of the race. And R2 Neiman overstepping his mark. Once again pushing too hard in the braking zone. Coming into the penultimate corner down the bottom of the hill. And Stevenson back to the lead of the race in that Octan machine. And Neiman will have to settle for second further back. David Halligan and Dave Southard having a huge fight. Of course, you don't want to crash as teammates as Oliver Gibson tries to get involved as well. But, well, let's just wait and see what happens. It could be interesting. Shootout, we say, of course, David moving over to DAC Racing after having his ventures with his own team, F1 last year, decided that he'd much rather be a driver rather than just an owner driver. A bit more complicated to do all the work yourself. And over at DAC Racing, that being Alex Cochran's team. They've had a good couple of results in the past, but currently stuck in this fight for P8. And of course, hopefully the top. Oh! That was Halligan round. Yeah, David Halligan. I don't think there was contact. I think he just cut the inside curb of Variante Outer and it shot him round. Oh, what a shame. Yeah, he's back on the road. P10 still, but of course a little bit further away from that battle than he would like to have been. Probably lost a lot of momentum, probably gained some tyre temperature.
Oh, definitely, yeah. These cars are very unforgiving. I mean, they're great fun to drive. They really are on the edge. But, yeah, it really does just spit you back out if you're not careful.
Yep, it absolutely does. It's, you know, a shame, I suppose, one hand on the other hand, being tricky to drive. That's kind of what you want these machines to be. You know, you want these drivers to be challenged, to be pushed by their machinery. And that partly makes it a bit more fun for them as well. As we are on lap 6 of 41 here at the Younger GP Italian Grand Prix. But this is the battle for the lead, and Max Hammerlink, the master, is starting to close in. He's already taken one race win from one round this season. Can he make it 2 from 2? It's still very, very early in the race, of course, but he is really starting to close in. Nieminen is back into the lead. So it seems like the drafting game down the huge front, not quite as straight. As we see there, Stevenson to the inside and retakes the lead. So I assume there's a bit of that going on every single lap. You just use the DRS, you can absolutely blow by. But early into the race, you probably want to use your opponent more than fight with them. Do excuse me, I am recovering from a cold. And there you kind of want to use your opponent if you're fighting with them down that main straight. On board with Gustavo Dalla Valle now for Bag Motorsports. Of course, their traditional messages upon the halo now banned, much to my disappointment. If you look through our Formula Trout Twitch clips, you can find me losing myself at half of them. Good times in Season 8, hey?
Oh, what happened here?
What?
We missed that. Sorry about that. It happens, obviously.
Did anything happen?
He must have had a moment because there's not really many overtaken places. He had him before the braking zone of Bibbly Boop, Skizizi. I don't know.
Did Neiman before turn 1?
Nah. Yeah, we saw that. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, they've now swapped back over, so we'll stay with them anyway. Oh, and that's is that Max Hammerlink? Yeah, it was challenging to the outside. So this is now a firmly 3-way fight for the lead. But Max Hammerlink, the master, now involved. He's already taken a race win this season. First round, second round, he's wanting to make it 2 in his quest for a second Formula Trout champion. And I've just recalled off the top of my head that I mentioned that Max Yinger was a back-to-back champion earlier. He wasn't. Dave Southard is the only back-to-back champion that we've ever had in Formula Trout.
That's incorrect again. I'm sorry to cut across.
Is it?
Paul Magzire.
Oh, it was Magzire, not Dave. Sorry, Paul. Sorry, Dave. I've got you two mixed up. I do apologise, but yeah, Paul Magzar is the only back-to-back champion we've ever had at Hall of Trout. Season 5 and Season 6, I want to say off the top of my head. Could have been 6 and 7. It was a while ago. I was based like 2 when it happened. I wasn't involved. But yeah, so obviously Max Hammerlink can't be a back-to-back champion because he didn't win the championship last year. That went to the man from Iran, Mustafa Moradi. But he's looking to stamp his authority on this field early. Stevenson and Neiman are about to swap places again. There they go. And knowing Max, he's a smart guy. As we see the lovely camera car there, and further back, Dave Southard having a move on Toby Sanford there and getting through on Toby Sanford, who's dropped back a little bit. So I wonder if he's perhaps made a little bit of a mistake somewhere. But yeah, Max Hammerlink looking to kind of make a point early on in this season. I mean, of course, he obviously took victory in round 1 last time out, but he's looking to kind of go, I'm back and I'm not here to mess around. I want this second championship. And I'm here, but he's just kind of sitting there. I think he's just letting those two battle in front. He's not quite getting involved. You can tell there's a little bit left in the tank. He doesn't want to push the tyres, doesn't want to make any mistakes. Just let those two, have it out. If they crash, great. If they don't crash, he's still in third with some great pace on balls. And, we can bring the fight later into the race. The pit stop window. And, do excuse me again there. As we come onto the front stretch, we're seeing R2 Neiman sweeping back by the outside once again. There he goes. There's a few drivers coming into the pits there. I believe that was Felipe Olsen just heading out. As we see, great bird's eye view there. I feel like I'm playing Micro Machines. This is great. R2 Neiman back into the lead of the race.
Great reference.
Yeah, see, I'm not that uncultured. Micro Machines. Yeah, what a game. What a time back in the day. But R2 Neiman, yeah, back to the lead of the race. Seems like the order of magnitude is going to be, we're just going to be essentially slugging and trading places every single lap down that massive front stretch. I mean, the DRS zone down there is huge. It was so huge, I think they had to change it this year for F1, and then they made it too short, so it didn't do anything. So it's a long DRS zone, as you can probably tell. And these two making what they can of it. Just, swapping places. I think they're perfectly happy to work together at the moment. Max Hammerlink in P3 as well, just following these guys. I mean, they've absolutely bolted from Nico Bossert in P4. I mean, okay, maybe not quite bolted. He's still there or thereabouts in the background of your shot. And then Jan Dragoon isn't far behind him, but then behind then, it's the gap's getting bigger and bigger. As there goes Stevenson to the lead of the race on lap 11 of 41. As expected. Yeah, just swapping places every single lap. And they're going to be doing this to the pit stop window, and then someone will get an undercut. And then, yeah.
I mean, in theory, they're working together. They're not letting Max get by. But we'll see what Max has up his sleeve. But yeah, I mean, lap 11 of 41. The C3 tyres tend to last about 14 to 15 laps, I hear. I would have known that had I finished the race, but hey-ho, these things happen.
We'll just have to wait and see what is going to happen over the remaining 30 laps of this race. Further back, Dave Southard, perhaps under a bit of pressure from those behind.
Oh, it's Alex's.
Oh, and that is that's in front as Alex Cochran runs wide. Somehow doesn't spin on the Astro. Coming over Variante Alta, but lets Dave through apparently.
Yeah.
Oh! Goes round. Dave Southard loses the rear end at the penultimate corner, perhaps just touching the dirty side of the track, and goes round. Well, I'm not entirely sure what happened there. I don't really know what happened because it looked like that Alex let him through.
Yeah.
And then Dave's facing the wrong way about half a second later.
Yeah.
Very strange incident.
Yeah, I mean the timing of the switch to the next camera was perfect. It's almost intentional.
Yeah, well there you go. The finest production quality here at Formula Trout, as always. Yeah, very, very strange incident indeed. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what happened there, to be honest. I think Dave maybe just a bit too much speed in the corner, a bit wide, maybe, and it just sent him round. And that was that, I suppose. Yeah, very, very strange indeed. Oh, and look at that, Stevenson, right on the tail, on the gearbox of R2 Neiman, and looking to force his way through once again. He's super, super close. He'll get the DRS, he'll shoot through to the inside, and there you go. So through goes Stevenson once again. Hammerlink draws near, can't quite get through. We've got a lovely view of the Bean Chilling sponsor on the Ruing. If you can't quite tell, all of our Oxtan sponsors are not the most serious on the grid, but I think that's part of the joy.
I don't know what you're on about. I have no idea what you're on about.
Only super serious sim racing
Yeah.
if you're on the Kilgore Trout's wing. You know, this is the best of the best. This is high level. But yeah, I think that's part of the joy of it. To be fair, I think, you know, it's kind of the serious yet jokey nature of Formula Trout. You know, you get these guys trying super hard, and you get these jokey sponsors. It's brilliant.
Yeah, you're right there. It's part of the culture for sure. It's something I really try and promote, and it's clearly been, you know, received by a lot of them. The Bag Motorsports, especially, I love what they do with their liveries. I mean, they all love. I mean, on the subject of liveries, we planned to like announce this last race, but obviously we couldn't get the Master Split stream up. I mean, admittedly, we should have probably done it in the Challenger one, but Supernal Racing actually won Livery of the Year last season. I'll see if I can grab a picture of it shortly. But you know, those guys also produce brilliant liveries. Everyone does. I mean, they really take it seriously.
Yeah, they absolutely do. I mean, it's a fine art being a sim racing livery designer. And there's a kind of a, what do you go for? Do you go for the jokey one? Do you go for the serious one? A lot of debate goes into it. Supernal Racing did a great job last year, and of course we'll be having the end of season awards once again this year. Maybe we can do like a whole host and show of it. Maybe, you know, just an idea. We can, you know, present it and get people in for interviews. I don't know, instead of just announcing it on the Discord.
Yeah, you're right.
But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, Supernal Racing won Livery of the Year last year. But yeah, you know, it's part of the culture of Formula Trout. It, you know, you know, it's obviously, you know, when it comes down to it, you know, we are a top-level sim racing league in Assetto Corsa. You know, these are the best drivers in Assetto Corsa. You know, coming to prove their worth and show their craft. As Toby Sanford putting on a defensive performance for the ages, it would seem, from Vladislav Mochalenko. Seemingly not quite having the race pace he'd quite like in these early phases, but again, Toby, a driver that usually comes through after the first pit stop. You know, it takes him a what, you know, just that early stint, can't quite get the car settled as Stevenson back to the lead of the race up the front. But yeah, it's great to see you get this kind of serious side of Formula Trout, and then you also get the kind of the more laid back, the more relaxed side of things, you know, where we're happy to make a joke. We're happy to have a laugh, and, you know, we all, you know, we all just want to have the best time possible. And on the subject of bag racing, I'm going to politely ask the lead director, Carlos Gamanis, as Vladislav Mochalenko slides past Toby Sanford for P8, if he could allow bag racing to have the jokes upon the halo again, because half of them were directed at me. I thought they were hilarious and quite heartwarming, and I'm definitely not biased towards bag motorsport. But yeah, Carlos, can you stop being a party pooper and let them have their dream, please? Because they liked it as well. They sent me beer for Christmas, okay? I got to shout them out. But yeah, Bag Motorsport, goated team, and their jokes and the halo funny. If you go onto the Twitch clips, I think one of the most viewed Twitch clips we have is me just laughing at a joke on their halo. It was like, or like me laughing at them shouting me out on their halo or something. Because it was nice, you know, it was nice. And then Carlos took it away from me. What a meanie.
I mean, I think it's partially also just how awkward it is to write on these halos as well. Maybe I'm wrong.
I think it's a regulation thing. It's not a we didn't want to do it anymore. I think Carlos said no, you can't do that anymore. Sorry, because it was last season as well. So I remember vaguely talking about it with Bruno Amorim. who's the representative of Bag Academy down in the Challenger split. It's Giovanni Amorum who's there, representative alongside Gustavo Dalla Valle here in the master split, but we're not seeing him out there today for reasons, which is just a shame. He's a quality driver. But yeah, it's I vaguely remember one of them saying that they got told to stop doing it, which I think is a completely unjust and unfair decision. I mean, I'm not trying to wage war with the senior management of Formula Trout here, but I'm trying to wage war with the senior management of Formula Trout here. Let Bag have their way. Let me have my laugh. And I think it's unfair. It's unjust. Justice for Bag Motorsport.
Yeah. Fair enough.
I mean, this is from the league owner as well, Carlos. I mean, of course, for those you want to know, Carlos is the director of the Premier Series. I think that's his official title, something along those lines. Let me go have a look for you quickly. I'll get his official title, and he might be like chief steward, maybe something along those lines.
Oh dear.
Maybe?
Max Hammerlink might have an eye up the inside. No at the outside even. Matthew's just staying ahead.
Thinking about it, I think.
Yeah, definitely. As we're following the wrong car, I do apologise.
Let's see. He's officially the head of the Premier Series, the head of the Sprint Series, and vice president of Formula Trout. So there you go. So this is the director Carlos Scamanus' policies. Make sure you vote in the next Formula Trout election to get him out. Jokes aside, Carlos he does a great job. Everyone involved in Formula Trout and the administration side of things here does a fantastic job. As we continue to follow around this lead battle, Stevenson has broken a bit of a gap away from R2 Niemanen, who's now on the defensive from his from the man in P3, Max Hammerlink. But yeah, it's everyone in the administration does a great job. Yourself, Carlos, all the people who run the Sprint Series, all the broadcast directors. It's a very, very well run rig. I joke and say, oh, Stevenson in, oh, they're all in. Oh! Was that Max Hammerlink jumping?
I think it was, yeah.
On the entry to the pit lane. Shades of Sebastian Vettel in China 2016 as Jan Dragoon comes in as well. Oh, they've all decided they hate themselves, hate the tyres, want to come in. Drama here on lap 12? I think my Wi-Fi just had a moment where my Discord's got all pixelated, but yeah, the drama. So they all come into the pits. What tyres do they go on to now? Stevenson comes out. Looks like a set of the C2s. Is a set of the C2s.
Oh, that's very important for Stevenson to get ahead of Halligan there.
Yeah, that's massive. So Stevenson there. Great stuff. Halligan now in P2. Max Hammerlink has jumped R2 Niemanen in the pits as well. By quite some margin of about a second.
If anyone watching this, they have to clip that because no one's overtaken into the pit before, especially for such a vital position. Yeah, do your big community and clip that.
Like, oh my God, Max Hammerlink! Whoa!
Oh,
it's a perfectly legal thing to do.
Yeah. Well, I think.
It's a part of the race. I mean, of course, once you're in the pit lane, you can't overtake and blah, blah, blah. But, on the way into the pits, that's still a part of the racetrack. It is perfectly legal. And Max Hammerlink there, taking advantage of some supreme knowledge and R2 Niemanen being cautious on the brakes to bang it into the pit lane. Of course, in Assetto Corsa, the pit lane, you don't get a penalty for speeding in the pit lane. And the pit lane speed limit is automatic. So the way you go into the pits is basically bomb it in as fast as you can. And then the game will lock all four wheels for you. That's Halligan. Right, okay, Halligan uses the DRS to go to the lead of the race. I mean, fair enough. If you got the pace, you got the pace. But, yeah, nice.
Yeah, those C3 tyres still holding together for Halligan. Yeah, I mean, he's not phased. Who knows?
I don't think that was in Steven Stevenson's plans to get done by David Halligan there, but I think it's quite clear that when we get outside of the DRS zone,
Wow, no,
it's the pace as Halligan gets a huge tank slapper on. Has to let him through. That was a great save as well.
Yeah.
But
He'll be coming in now for sure.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he did. Yeah, that's but David Halligan, you know, fair kudos into the lead of the race for about. But I think he did get into. No, he didn't get into the lead for the before the start finish round. So he led for about a corner. He didn't officially lead a lap. But yeah, David Halligan, he's led in our hearts. Yep, dives in now, and the top three resume their conquest, resume their war. As that Newman has slid back in front of Hammerlink at some point. But Hammerlink surely with the DRS. No, can't quite get it done. So there we go. Newman stays. Oh, no, Hammerlink does get through, rather, should I say. Alright, Hammerlink gets through even. So Hammerlink back up to P2. Now he's got to try and close that gap up. Nico Bossert as well. Just lingering in the background. He is there or thereabouts as we're approaching halfway through this race. So yeah, it's all to play for as we come to the end of the first pit stop window. Again, apologies as I cough my lungs up. I am still quite unwell, and but you know, still here, still dedicated to the cause. This probably doesn't sound too great on stream, but I do apologise. Wasn't my choice to be ill. I can definitely tell you that. On board with Vladislav Mochalenko as he heads around Peratala and down the hill into the big right-handers at Aqua Minerale. Of course, that used to be a chicane down there way back in the day. You know, you're looking a few years ago, but the Concord driver doing a good job. On board with Toby Sanford now, who's dropped to P15 after his stop. But he's, again, done his classic, not quite been gelled up completely in that early phase, just not been able to quite, you know, get the car into the position that he'd like. Oh, facing a nose up the rear end from Case Willems there as well. Two very fast drivers who really shouldn't be that far back in the field. Frankly, they should be well within the top 10, kind of looking for top 5 fights. So not the best race for those two. But you know what? Toby Sanford hasn't had a hardware failure yet, so it's, by his standards, it's a fantastic race. For those who want to aware, Toby Sanford last year, I mean, I'm a good friend of Toby's, and basically, because I had the inside scoop, I'm sure Kilgore did as well, because he was his boss, basically he would start a race and his force feedback would just depart from existence. It was very, very strange. I've never heard anyone else have this issue. It would be fine in practice sessions, fine in qualifying, and it was only ever in the Formula Trout server he'd hit a race and his force feedback had just turned itself off, which is just the most bizarre, like, Thrustmaster thing you can think of. But there you go. Seems to be doing okay so far. Not had any complaints yet. Or I suppose I'll find out afterwards when he messages me like, that was awful. Steven Stevenson, meanwhile, back to the lead, or rather still in the lead of the race, but R.C. Newman has reassumed second place. And more importantly, is on the tail of the race leader. And definitely official ice cream Bing Chilling sponsor. That is definitely a real brand. And definitely not John Cena talking about ice cream. Because I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know why that video is a thing.
I think it's best we don't ask questions and just accept it for what it is.
Yeah, that's a very valid stance to take, I think. I might have to, yeah, I'm going to agree with you on that one, Kilgore. Just, you know what? Ooh. Let life do what life wants to do and just Bing Chilling your way through it. But yeah, Toby Sanford. Bit of traffic up front there for Sanford. Oh, no! He gets shoved round by Case. A rare mistake from the Dutchman. As he shoves round Toby. Oh, and Toby, to be fair, makes the sensible decision. Comes straight in. As I continue to die, the excitement is too much for me to handle. But round goes Toby Sanford. Oh, that's... Wow. Yeah, wow. That's really surprising. Wouldn't expect to see something like that at all. But, yeah, wow, that's strange, to say the least. And, wow. Yeah, just wow. Very, 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 very peculiar indeed there. I'm not sure if Toby dropped it and then just Case collected it. or Case just gave him a bit of a nudge or what, but yeah, Sanford goes round and now goes onto the C3s, I presume, to the end. Yeah, very strange incident indeed. On board with Max Hammerlink rather, back up the front on the back of this lead battle.
Oh man, they can just ride the curbs. I'm so scared to go near them.
Yeah,
So infuriating to see.
Yeah, that's I suppose that what makes these guys the best of the best though in Assetto Corsa. No offense to your driving skills, Kilgore, but they can do things that you can't. Well, I can't either if it's any consolation. I'm terrible in a car. I avoided sim racing for about 7 months. Jumped back in a couple weeks ago for about a solid week. Just, you know, had a really good time. And then we had the Formula Trout test race, which I got convinced to do on a whim. And then I think I rage quit after like 6 or 7 laps.
You told me 5, and I'm not to drop you in it.
I was trying to dig myself up there. It was 5. I binned it once coming through Stowe, and then I think I binned it once coming through Abbey as well. And then I was just like, I'm done.
I mean, it's hard when you give yourself one mistake and it's fine, but you know, after they start accumulating it just begins to hurt the ego. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if if younger have a setup advantage where that allows them to kind of ride those curbs without it kind of spitting them back out, but yeah.
I mean, a few years ago when Vermin Racing Team was a thing before it just became Younger GP. The Vermin setup was a genuinely discussed thing among the Trout.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, do you remember that, the Vermin setup advantage? Basically, Vermin, which is now essentially Younger GP, essentially their drivers were so good that people started just they just had this setup, which was just amazing. It was just faster than anything else. It couldn't be the drivers, had to be the car. And it was the Vermin setup advantage. It was genuinely like I wouldn't say it was a meme, but it was like a conspiracy theory. Like in Formula Trap for like a solid year, like a few seasons.
I mean, this is how I see it. I mean, these guys essentially all tend to work together. You know, they might as well make it official and well. For me, obviously, we don't have engine suppliers in this, but we have groups of people who essentially powering the car together in a way, if you get what I'm saying, with their setup. Yeah, that's how I imagine it anyway. It's like engine suppliers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a valid way to put it. I mean, of course, we can't have engine suppliers in this but you can do that in other sims, to be fair. As Stevenson goes past the lead. Hello, Max Hammerlink. Huge overdrive down the outside. Hammerlink to P2. Niemanen has just lost 2 places before turn 1. Hammerlink suddenly decided the time is up. The time is now. And John Cena his way into P2 there with a huge move. Huge boost of speed down that front stretch, so big it's actually gained him like a 1/10 of a second already on his personal best. Even though he's had traffic and dirty air and the like, that is, well, fair enough. Max Hammerlink deciding to turn the wick up. Looks like the time is, yeah, Max Hammerlink looks like he's starting to push.
I mean, yeah, he'd been charging up for a while for that one, been waiting patiently, and the tyres had come together for him. It seems so, oh god. Just as I say that, Archie Niemanen, where is he? Oh.
Whoa! I'm drafting. All right, here we go. This is NASCAR now as you head down into the final few corners. So this will be Niemanen sliding through into P2. Absolutely. Stevenson a little bit of breathing room. All right, so at the front, it's a bit more chill. So there goes Niemanen P2. Stevenson can breathe for a lap or two, maybe recuperate, recover his tyres just a little bit. But yeah, Hammerlink there with a rare mistake from the master. Of course, your season 8 champion, you know, in one of the most dominant seasons we've ever seen. Every single race on the podium. Just outrageous that year he was. You know, I remember just being there. You know, that was my first season commentating on Formula Trout, just being there with my co-commentator at the time, and just being like, whoa, this is insane. You know, it was just the most incredible season for the Master. You know, there's a reason we gave him that nickname, is because he just was the Master.
Him and you know, Magza back and forth throughout the season. It was really great to see, and you had like complete upsets where, you know, two of them we could take each other out and essentially have a, you know, completely different winner. But yeah, you know, really fun. I think one of the best seasons there.
And the Challenger season that year was absolutely banging as well. We had Bag Motorsports versus TCE Sports for the title, and Kamashov had the drivers in the Bag, but Bag were always there for the constructors. It was back and forth, and there was spins and wins and and then was it Giovanni Amorim was about to win the penultimate race of the season to take the drive. I mean, the Bag Motorsports had the constructors in the Bag, and then in the penultimate round of the season, Giovanni Amorim was about to win the race to take the championship to the final race and make it a winner takes all, essentially. And then I can't remember off the top of my head, he either ran out of fuel or he crashed on like the last lap. I think he ran out of fuel, but yeah, no, very interesting indeed. Yeah, I'll try and remember that. Let me know if you remember in the YouTube chat. I'll go find it now. But I think he ran out of fuel. You know.
Rub his nose in it. Just when he's like finally gotten over it. Watches this stream tonight. Oh no! I've been reminded.
Sorry, Giovanni. But yeah, it was one of the most insane things I think I've ever seen in a sim race. It was absolutely crazy. I think he did. I think he did run out of fuel.
Agnes is saying, Ross, we were both taken out in turn 1 that race.
Oh God, they were, weren't they? Oh my word! Thank you, Agnes. Now remember, and yeah, you had the massive comeback drive through the field. Oh wow! Oh, I've just remembered what a fantastic race that was. Oh, that's brilliant.
Hashtag Gustavo screen, please. Why Gustavo?
Oh, wow.
Why do you want Gustavo? You want Gustavo, do you?
Yeah, bring on Gustavo. Come on, Gustavo Dalle Valle. Oh, wow.
No man's land. Holding on to P9 at the moment. Magzire is on his tail.
I'm still reminiscing over that race. I'm gonna go back and watch it after this. It was just superb. You know, it was. I'd argue that's possibly the best Formula Trout race we've ever had, in my opinion, or the ones that I've, you know, commentated on anyway. But it was just brilliant. You know what? That's a good question for you at home. What do you think has been the best trout race we've ever had? Let us know. I'm genuinely interested to see what you think, because it was a man could have a night alone watching that race and have a very fun time indeed. Oh, it was just superb. Sorry, Kilgo. Can I just have a moment? Sorry.
Go clean yourself up afterwards, though.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Oh, that was a brilliant race. Right. Yeah. Okay. Right. Back in the zone.
Back into this race.
We're back into another brilliant race in Formula Show, which is what we're seeing right now. About 30 and 41 here in round 2 of season 10 of the Formula Trout Premier Series and the Master Split. It's currently RT Neiman leading the way, Steven Stevenson in P2, and Max Hammerlink, the Master, in P3. I say that, Steven Stevenson, they swap for the lead, But with 10 laps left on the clock, I've got to be honest with you, I still think that Max Hammerlink... Nieminen off! Nieminen runs wide! That's got to be Hammerlink through into Villeneuve. It is Hammerlink through into Villeneuve. Oh, disaster for Artu Nieminen as he drops from first to third again. But again, we've seen him do that before. And, well, he will find himself going forwards once again in no time at all with that powerful DRS.
I know it's very hot for him at the moment. So, yeah, he'll be having to deal with, you know, Malaysia, Singapore kind of temperatures at the moment. I don't know what it's like for the rest of Europe, but you know it's been pretty hot the last couple of weeks. You know, especially trying to push yourself to practice when like you know the heat is like 30 degrees plus. You know you've just got to fight through that as well. It's another level of commitment these guys have to be the best. Sorry for that little little bit, but you know it almost goes unspoken.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, there's a bit on board Max. Oh, and actually, I say that R2 has dropped a little way back, hasn't he?
R2's up to second.
Got through rather. Never mind.
Yeah, sorry.
I mean, I was at the back of my mind, right? The racer part of me, the kind of the bit of my mind that kind of analyses races and, you know, has all the supreme and intellect knowledge that I have on motorsport, and, you know, is able just to kind of pick apart things. That part of my brain is going, Max Hammerlink is going to win this race. You know, knowing Max, knowing what he does, he'll turn it up in the next few laps and he'll go and win. But, you know, also there's a bit of the front of my mind just going, there's that massive DRS zone that just makes everything irrelevant. So, I don't know. Could be anybody. I think any of those top three could be taking that race wing. Last few laps could be a bit interesting, to say the least.
I think Artu had a moment coming out of the chicane because Max,
he
was slow and Max got ahead.
He did, and R2 actually, I think he had to get through a bit of lap traffic as well.
Ooh, that might have been it, yeah.
But as well, he's also got the huge DRS, and he goes through, and said lap traffic is actually trying to have a go. I think that's Dave Southard. But don't hold me accountable for that one, actually. I think Dave Southard's DNF from the race, so it can't be Dave Southard, so it must be David Halligan in P10. Just realised that we have lost a few drivers from this race, but they haven't shown up on our timing screen. They've just vanished, so I can't tell you.
Yeah, you're right. I mean,
can you see who they are in live timing, or maybe?
No, actually, I've got Dave Southard. Dave Southwood.
Southard's gone. I can tell Southard's gone.
Felipe Olsen, maybe was he?
Oh, yeah, Olsen's gone. Yeah.
Jordy Lewis. I don't know if he was also.
Yeah, Lewis is gone.
That's unfortunate.
So a few DNFs here and there, unfortunately. But you know, it's sim racing. It's an attritional esport. You know, it's all about sticking with it. And in esports, sometimes it doesn't go your way, and that's just how it is sometimes. So a big shame there, but I'm sure they'll be coming back fighting next time, and I'm sure they'll be coming back to some better results and to actually finishing races. Here we go then. Do they swap places this time? Yeah.
Happened off camera.
It's just like you get to the main straight, and then one of them overtakes coming through the little left kink before you hit the brakes for Tamburello. It's about it, really, isn't it? I mean, it's not like it's boring. I mean, it's really exciting, but it's just predictable.
Yeah.
There's no point trying to line up a move anywhere else because just the sheer power of that DRS range makes every other overtake irrelevant, frankly. So it's more it's almost a strategy of luck and wits rather than actually trying to set moves up. Bit of a weird one. There's Toby Sanford on the back of Simon Benoit now for P13. Trying to squeeze his way through. I'm sure he'll be trying to use that DRS tactic. on the next lap, because he is very, very close to the back of Benoit indeed. As they head up to Piratella and then down to Aqua Minerale.
Ooh. That's a bit of a moment there.
There goes Stevenson then to the lead of the race, as I just mentioned. And, yeah, I think it's going to be like that till the end. So start hedging your bets. I still think, I mean, again, the racer in me thinks Hammerlink has got this. But, you know, the DRS zone in me.
Oh, and Halligan's gone.
Yep, there goes Dave Halligan. Round he goes in the background. I think he just dropped it coming out of the Villeneuve chicane. That's a big shot there.
There's a Gustavo moment there for you guys. Hope you clip it. As Gustavo makes his way through the danger zone. Oh, case is off. Oh, or maybe not. A little battle with Halligan.
So, yeah, not a quite done day for Halligan. As Case Willems fights his way back through the pack after that first lap incident. And Dave runs wide again. Oh, Dave. My goodness me, that was coming back onto the track a little bit too aggressively for my liking. I'm not a steward, of course, but I can certainly make judgments of things. I'm a human being. It's what we do. And that was very aggressive indeed from Dave Halligan. Here we go then. There goes R2 Niemanen, and there goes the lead of the race. There's like 6 laps left. It's gonna be whoever's in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
Simple as. Because
you're probably gonna see some desperate moves come up, like in maybe braking zones, maybe more so in zones that you don't normally see overtakes, just to kind of get in each other's heads now. I don't know. You're right. It literally might just come down to eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
Yeah. To see what's gonna happen. That who knows as we enter the final phases of this race. We'll have to wait and see. Niemanen leading from the pole position. But he's got Max Hammerlink and Steven Stevenson right on his tail. Steven Stevenson again, the man who I still think has the best name in Formula Trout. I mean, there are some great names, to be fair. Some great people as well. And, of course, you can become one of those great people and great names as Stevenson retakes the lead by coming along. Click on the Discord link in the description and come and join in the fun. And if you haven't already, like, share, subscribe, follow, etc., etc. We, you know, yeah, we love you lot. And any new fans who want to get involved, please do come get involved. It'd be great to see you along. And of course, in the final few laps of the day, who is your driver of the day? In both the Challenger and in this race, we will be cheeking to the Challenger split winner in a moment's time. Apologies, I'm still dying. But we will be speaking to the Challenger split winner in Diane Siklavan, or Siklavan rather. Is it Siklavan? I'll ask him. I'm not familiar with the name. I'm not familiar with him, unfortunately. But I'll get to know him in the interview. But we'll speak to him after this race, as well as a few drivers from this race in our post-stream interviews. But yeah, let us know who your driver of the day is, as some of Benoit has fallen foul of Toby Sanford in the CRG Academy car. Those two not been their days, unfortunately. I know they'd usually be a lot further up the field, but Sanford, I know, has just encountered problems. Benoit hasn't quite been on it today either. Hammerlink now a little bit further back. Lap 38 of 41. This is going to go down to the wire. And again, it could be any one of these three. Hopefully they just don't collect each other. They managed to race clean so far this race. You know, again, if this was any other circuit where there wasn't this like 20-mile long DRS range, Max Hammerlink would win this race. But because there's the 20-mile long DRS range, I don't know if he can win this race. I don't know who's going to win this race. And I don't like that because, you know, I guess it's part, you know, a lot of people like not knowing who's going to win a race. It's part of the fun. My brain operates and I like to kind of figure out who's going to win the race as it goes along because I probably have problems. And there goes Benoit rounding outside of Sanford into turn 1. Again, this battle for the back end spoils, much like the battle up the front, is going to go down to the wire. But here we are then. Max Hammerlink, 3rd place. What can he do? He's become around the final corners for the final time here at the Autodromo de Enzo e Dino Ferrari. Yeah, Ravazza 1 and 2. As they're called, a very tricky pair of corners. Of course, no final chicane here at Imola anymore. They changed that a few years ago. There goes Stevenson to the lead. As we hit lap 38, I thought it was already lap 38. No, it's lap 39. The ticker just had a moment. So, 3 more laps? Yeah, 3 more laps left. Again, maths isn't my strong point. And it is anybody's race up the front. But go on. I've asked the audience, I'll ask you, Kilroy, who do you think has been your driver of the day?
I mean, I'd say drivers, R2 and Steven have just worked together so kind of seamlessly. You know, and they've, I mean, admittedly, I think there is a setup advantage here. At least, you know, they've got like the straight line speed. But yeah, Max Hammerlink obviously staying with them though. So I might even have to say Max Hammerlink in a way, just to be different. Just because he's just constantly putting pressure on. I don't think somehow I feel like he's gonna steal it.
We will have to wait and see. I mean, I personally don't know. As we head on to lap 40, but also there goes Hammerlink. Here we go then. So Hammerlink has decided that now is the time to go on the penultimate lap of this race, round 2 of the Formula Track Premier Series Master Split, and Max the Master Hammerlink has decided he needs to go now. As it stands, if my DRS straight math serves me correctly, Stevenson should win this race, because he'll get through on R2 Niemann in this lap. Niemann won't have enough of a gap to get on the following lap. Oh, and Hammerlink, a huge mistake. Can he recover? A half spin, pushing too hard. It looks like, I tell you what, Kilgore, he's got away with it.
He has. I mean, he might just have to settle for 3rd, but you know, won't rule him out. We won't rule him out.
We will not rule him out at all. I mean, there's still a lap and a half left to go. And he's trying to close. He's already back in to within a second of Stevenson. So, here we are then. Let's do this thing. 1 lap left to go. Here at Imola, the Autodromo de Enzo Edino Ferrari. One of the greatest racetracks of the world. And we're being served one of the greatest Formula Track races today. Stevenson takes the lead onto the final lap, but it's a 3-way fight for the lead. Can Hammerlink recover after that mistake through Piratella on the previous lap? Can R2 Niemann get back through? We'll have to wait and see, but it's Stevenson currently in control. The American, he was vice champion last year, currently 2nd in the championship. If they finish as they do, he will take the lead of the championship. And the stars and stripes will be flowing in the wind above the virtual podium. And a little bit of track extension from the both of them there, but R2 Niemann looking all over the back of them. Does he try to dive? He's thinking about it. Into Aqua Minerale. Nope, Variante Alta, should I say. Right then, this is it. 2 corners to go. I think Hammerlink is too far back. I'm trying to cough up everything I can before we get to the final straight then. Here we go. A drag race to the line. Who's it going to be? Niemann doesn't have enough. Stevenson is going to win here in Imola. But it was so close. As R2 Niemann gave it everything. Max Hammerlink gave it everything. And without that penultimate lap mistake from the master, who knows what could have been. But it is Stevenson, the American, taking his first win of the season. He copies his compatriot in Formula 2, Logan Sargent, and takes victory in a top-level single-seater category. Wow, wow, wow. What a brilliant result there for Stevenson. Brilliant, brilliant stuff. The rest of the drivers bring it home now in order. Bossett comes home in P4, I believe. A few drivers doing burnouts on the line as well, but that, wow, what a brilliant, brilliant race. Oh, apology, it was Jan Dragoon who brings it home in P4 with Nico Bossett in P5. Oliver Gibson managed to get to P6, Alex Cochran 7, Vlad Mochalenko 8, Gustavo Dallavalle was 9, and Case Phillips managed to pull it back into P10. But Stevenson, take a bow. Brilliant, 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 brilliant from the young American driver. Oh, wow, that is...
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't have put any of them down to. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm still in shock of what just happened. I don't think I've realised. I don't think it's just set yet. But yeah, you couldn't have said any of them were a dead cert for winning. Especially in qualifying, it could have gone anyone's way. But yeah, it's been a brilliant race. Watching essentially the characteristics of Imola, unfold. But yeah, great race, great racing. Very clean. That's what we like to see. Yeah, I mean, have we got any interviews? Otherwise, I'm just going to end up rambling until you tell me off. We've got Alex Cochran. Alex, how was that? How are you? Hey, how are you? How was that race? You did really well. You got through to Q2. And then you finished P7 overall.
Yeah, the point was amazing, to be honest. Yeah, Q1, I think, Q1, and then Q2 just only managed to do a fifth, so pretty happy.
Yeah, crazy stuff. I mean, you had a lot of battling with Vladislav, I believe.
Yeah. The start was because, I mean, it was mainly my fault. I had to go around the outside and turn. Was it my? I had to just shut the door. Blanco was back and forth. I was press me. It was ridiculous. Yeah, there was that. I think it was Benoit and Fed as well. Yeah, we were all playing a bit of a DRS game. The first thing. Seven isn't. Probably would have finished P5.
Yeah. I mean, I just got to hand it to Oliver Gibson. Guy is just when it's his day, things just go his way.
Yeah, it was annoying to see. And then he got past him, but the gap was already there by then. I kind of let it build up and then came to risk. I mean, props to him, this is a good pace. Definitely need to keep great paces. In the car, there was no fully practice of it. It's not
Yeah, I get you. Well, thank you very much for putting on a good show, and also for helping out. No worries. Let's get our race winner in here, hey? Steve Stevenson, congratulations! You just won the Imola Grand Prix. Hey! Walk us through it, man. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think the accomplishment was the 2 weeks leading up to the race as well. I mean, a lot of work went on behind the scenes. You two worked together, as well as the rest of Oxygen. So I like to think, I don't know, one of you guys were trying to figure out mathematically who would end up ahead. Yeah, but congratulations. Qualifying. Walk us through that at least. I mean, there's obviously a bit of a gap there between you and R2. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, fair dues. We've got Zandvoort next. What's your feelings for that? Yeah, yeah. It's a case of just hanging on, don't make mistakes, and I mean, it might literally become a case of people mathematically trying to work out strategies. It might, engineers. That's your next role. But yeah, onward and upward. You're now leading the championship with that. So congratulations. Yeah, man. I've got nothing else to say. Have you got anything to ask, Ross? I think. Go on. Thanks, man. And that was our race winner, Stevenson. Yeah, get him in there. I mean, why not? Yeah, Darian. Hey, man. Congratulations on winning the Challenger split. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you finished quite a bit ahead of Cyprian in second place, but I mean, walk us through the qualifying into the race. Walk us through qualifying. Mhm. Yeah, congratulations. yeah, perfect race weekend for you. So yeah, I mean, let's try and keep that trajectory upward. Heading into Zandvoort, how do you feel with that the Dutch track? Definitely. Just get that practice in. I think it'll be a very similar track to this, except instead of green, it'll just be very beige, because of the sand, and also very Dutch. Hopefully, we've not kind of got the CSP update where there's just orange smoke everywhere. Anyway, no, I don't think so, but it should be. Or should it not be? Anyway, Darian, thank you very much for being very entertaining tonight, and hope to see you do just as well next race. Nice one, man. Nice one. Thank you very much. That's the boys, the Lions. Yeah, fair dues. There's definitely you're making progress. You were pretty much complaining throughout the whole of Nürburgring, and rightly so. But yeah, I mean, let's see what Zandvoort brings you. Your home race. You excited? Yeah, fair point. It's gonna be very messy, I think, but let's see what everyone brings to the table. Oliver, you've been very quiet. How was your race? You finished P6. Oh, P6, yeah. Personal best. Yeah, I mean, still, like I said to Case, you guys are getting better every race. That was an intentional rhyme. A lot of things rhyme with Case. That also seemed to be race related, like pace. But yeah, I've got nothing else to say really. I mean, you put on a great show.
lot of clean battles. I mean, you managed to break away from Alex and Vladislav, I believe.
But yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Who's playing around with the? I think it is you. Yeah, stop it.
Anyway, yeah, I think we're good to end it there, guys. Unless you want to say anything else.
Then no worries. That's everything really. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you, Younger, for sponsoring the Grand Prix. Thank you everyone for competing. We'll be back again in 2 weeks' time for the Zandvoort Dutch Grand Prix, which will be on the 6th of August. Same time, same place. Make sure you're back. And yeah, have a good night, everyone.